Hey everybody, welcome to the GH Report. On today's episode, we're going to find out how Jason hulks out and breaks out of a chair, Laura cuts open Kevin Collins, and Lulu finds a skeleton. Ooh, so much intrigue. It's a GH Report right now.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AfterBuzz TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
There it is, as always. Look at that. The sweet sounds of the GH theme song welcoming us and all of you to the GH Report here on AfterBuzz TV. Look at that. Thanks so much for joining us here. We just get, look at this, the awesome twosome. So I think I just called ourselves. That's what we are right here. I'm one of your hosts, Frank Moran. You can follow me on Twitter at HappyGoJackie.
And I'm Lacretia Lyon. You can find me at LACRETIALYON anywhere on the internet, since there is only one.
That's right. James Lott Jr., He's off with his family right now this weekend. Just hanging out, being cool, being the cool dad this weekend. And Ladina is doing a little work. Little work took her away from here. So, my ship partner, she's not here.
I know.
Go on.
It was them last week. Now it's us.
Yes.
Everybody's just taking vacation in July.
That is true. Yeah. But I am back. I know you guys have not missed me. So my rage, my seething has only boiled up during my absence here. So I have a lot of great stuff to talk about in this episode. Meantime, though, make sure you like us on Facebook. You can give us 5 stars on iTunes. You can follow us on Twitter. We're working hard and nonstop. Just as Ladine says, we got to always promote to your friends about the GH Report Facebook page. We are making it all the way to 2,000, and we are so close. We are so close, guys. We are at 1,281. We're so close.
I know. Just like 800 more.
Ooh, all right. So just get 719 of your closest friends to like the GH Report, and that 2,000th person is going to get a swanky prize. I think a dinner with James Lott Jr. I think that's the least. Yeah.
Yeah, at Mel's Diner.
That's, oh, come on. Like an appetizer, a nice little main course, and a dessert.
And James always pays, guys.
So we're going to jump right into it, break down the latest goings-on this week in Port Charles. And I guess, we'll just start off this week, which has been a storyline that's been dragging on for a little while. But we've got Lulu, everything that's happening in Cassadine Island. And we start off with Lulu, which, man... while I was away, I did joke that as soon as Dante and Lulu, we saw so many scenes of them like, all right, remember, tell me the way to get out. Tell me the way to get out. You knew Lulu was never going to make it out of there. She was totally going to get lost.
I know, and it's just like Lulu as well as Valerie, we'll discuss that later, need to drop the Spencer name because you just don't live up to it. I'm sorry. And it was just like, her repeating the directions over and over. And like you say, I'm thinking, oh, this bitch is going to get lost.
Yeah. And she doesn't. So while she's in the little catacombs there of Cassadine Island, she comes across a skeleton. And who could the skeleton be? She sees a bracelet and an earring and thinks it could be her dad.
Yeah, because she recognized them as Luke's, and Luke is one of the only men on GH who ever wear an earring, so it's a pretty good assumption, but I don't think they would do that to the character, but who knows?
But I'm also thinking, all right, so say he immediately died right as soon as he left the show, which is like a year ago. I don't think his skeleton would be in that state of decay, right? It would be more mummified, probably in the catacombs like that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a forensics expert, but I have seen every episode of Bones. And yeah, I mean, if in an area like that, it wouldn't be a skeleton at that point, that much decay, being that Luke's not been gone that long. Now, granted, I'm basing this off a TV show that is based on some novels, but I don't know. Seems legit.
Yeah, but I think that's where we all learn our medical knowledge, just from TV shows, right? I learned so much. I'm practically a doctor just by watching all the seasons of ER.
So. Oh, and House, I could diagnose anything.
So just even the idea that whether it is like that touchstone with Luke, is it his body? Is it not? If it's not him, where is he? Do you like that idea of kind of throwing at that little balloon?
I feel like that was actually an interesting piece to tie in Cassadine Island. And as Lulu said, that's, the other woman's house, who I'm sure we'll find out later, who she is. That's what the envelope was, had that address in it. So, and same thing with Laura being lured there. I feel like they want them to think it's Luke, but it's probably not, and I think it's just to mess with their heads. And either Helen is alive or this is Valentine, but he didn't seem to be that interested in them. Yeah.
No, I felt like he was just only there for Nicholas, which I still don't know how he knew that Nicholas was going to be there. And then everybody else that just happened to show up on the island was just collateral for him to be using. But, it's just like, I feel like I guess unless there's some big surprise and they've really kept it completely secret from everybody. There's been no buzz, no little hints or anything about that Anthony Geary coming back for even a few episodes or anything like that. So I don't know. It's just like as somebody that knows as a fan, you're like, well, I don't think he's coming back. So what's the point of doing the storyline?
Yeah, and that's me too. It's unless they've kept it really under wraps, which I noticed lately, all the soaps have done pretty well. Is keeping the casting news a little bit more under wraps, so there's more surprises. I know Y&R had a big one recently, and so yeah, it really could be that this is gearing up for him to come back for a few episodes to maybe tie up some loose ends. Because as he said, after as he'll put it, the writer left, he was actually more interested in possibly doing stints again. But yeah, to me, it's just like, I don't know. I believe it when I see it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so while she's down there, she happens to hear another guard searching the tunnels, and she clubs him, knocks him out. So, all right, give props for Lulu for that. She's able to knock him out. Then grabs the gun and decides, like, all right, should I keep going to the boat? Or should I go back up there and try to save everybody? What would my dad do? I'm a Spencer. We improvise. And I was like, for a moment, I was thinking, all right, Lulu's going to have like some awesome Spencer moment. This is going to be it. No.
I know. My hopes were dashed too. I was like, oh my God, this is the Lulu Spencer, And then she fails miserably, and I'm like, oh, this is the one we've known for this year.
Yeah, it's just like, why?
Thank you, Steve.
Yes, like, why even tease that kind of... I mean, like, this would be an opportunity to really show her come into her own as a Spencer, to really just take on these bad guys and kind of get the upper hand. But, man, especially after seeing so many times them kind of getting away and then being corralled by Valentine and his bad guys. Like, oh, all right. So, I mean, we already saw Dante give up. I mean, now we have to just... So it's basically everybody coming up against Valentine and giving up constantly, which got really irritating.
Yeah, and that was the thing. It's like, it's so irritating to see both Lulu and Valerie, when Laura, on the other hand, was kind of a badass. And it's like,
yes,
that's who you ladies need to look up to, is Laura Spencer. Because, yeah, it's like, oh, then Dante has to save you again. I'm just so tired of seeing that. And as you say, we thought it was going to go the other way. And it's like, yes, Lulu!
Yeah, like, why even give her that moment to not even do anything with it? Because, like, speaking of Laura, I just, since I was gone last week, but that scene where she just really tears into Valentine, just that, how angry she was. Man, what a great moment.
Oh, yeah, I loved that. And it's so good to have Jeannie Francis back and in a real storyline. Her and Kevin Collins, that's a good duo. And, yeah, thank you, writers, for this.
Yes. But we see Kevin Collins, he jumps in the way of a bullet that was, thought it was going to be for Laura. Valentine, claims that it was going to shoot right by her head. So, until this guy decided to jump in the way. So we see Kevin Collins basically just kind of laid up for the most of the week here, just kind of, when she's like, stand me up, I'm a doctor, I can check this out. And then fainting a lot. I was torn because it's like, all right, yeah, a little jeopardy, but it's like, if I have Kevin Collins on the canvas, I want to actually see him do something.
Do something. Yeah, to me, I mean, and I guess jumping in front of the bullet, he is the hero. But yeah, it's like, I sort of wanted Kevin to be the big hero in this situation, not Jason for the 500th time. Oh my God.
Yeah, so Sam passes out, and because Sam and Jason were basically talking like, we gotta wait for the right moment, and Sam faints, and then we see Jason just like what he could have done basically any time that he'd been there, but then he just gets really angry and he busts right through that chair. Oh, that scene was so ridiculous.
I know, it's like, you should have asked Mark Ruffalo for some acting tips, buddy. How to be the Hulk and believable.
Oh, yeah, so once again, Jason saves the day. He gets on there, starts shooting everybody. Nobody else can get a shot off. Dante's, ineffective. It's just only Jason coming through and shooting everybody. I'm glad that I'm glad that it kind of resolved itself, but with a little action. But I wanted it to be Lulu or Dante kind of doing more of the action. Yeah,
to me, it's like Dante, Kevin Collins, every other person in this scenario would have been a better choice than Jason, but they just can't seem to get away from that trope of Jason's the hero all the time.
Yeah. Oh, man. So we see them. They, of course, they chase Valentine away, which I did like that, where it's just he follows him into a room, and it seemed like Valentine got away pretty quickly before Jason could get in that room. But he's disappeared. He kind of hid somewhere in the tunnels as well. So they need to get off the island. And it seemed like the way the Valentine that ended on the one episode, like nobody leaves this island alive. I was expecting like a lot more danger, and that really didn't go anywhere.
Yeah, that we've seen yet. I mean, I'm guessing that this other woman, will be a little bit more sinister. She's had that look to her, and you can never trust anyone on Cassadine Island, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I feel like this isn't done, but at the same time, it was a really cool storyline that the ending was very lackluster.
Yeah, I mean, and I guess it's still continuing, I guess, because as they leave, Kevin realizes that he's just going to be slowing everybody down. They take a look at the wound, and they realize they've got to get the bullet out now. Who's going to be able to cut somebody open? I did like that it was Laura that cut him open.
Yeah.
She really, and she handled it like a champ, which I think ties back to everything. I mean, she's been through so much in her life that I feel like, cutting somebody open and extract a bullet, not the first time in her life she's had to deal with something of that kind of level of intensity.
Yeah, and I think that Kevin even sort of brought that up in a way. I mean, she was on the run with Luke for so long, and so yeah, that's why Laura handled the situation very well. Or Dante, who was also there, she even asked him, like, hey, you have any medical training? And you're, being a cop, he should be able to handle this. But yeah, making it Laura at least rose the stakes a little more.
Yeah, I mean, it made sense that Kevin needed somebody strong to hold him down because he was just what a little baby getting a little booze on you, getting a bullet cut out of you. Oh, brother, Kevin. But he uses that moment there to just kind of say how much he really enjoys Laura's company.
Yeah.
Oh, look at that.
It was a very nice, sweet little moment. And I know most of the chat here, like Michael B, agrees that the Kevin and Laura stuff they liked, but the rest was, yeah.
Yeah. Because then, as Lacretia was mentioning, we have that one lady that shows up. And he says what her address is, and the address happens to match the address that on the envelope that Helena gave Lulu. And her moment where she starts freaking out about that. Oh, wait, what? I'm like, oh, Lulu, oh, boy.
I really want Lulu not hysterical. I don't know why that's too much to ask for, because, yeah, I mean, and a lot of it, maybe choices with the writing or whatever, but, yeah, like, Lulu was way more calm even in her teenage years. What's with this hysteria that she has now?
Yeah. And I don't know, I guess I don't know what I'd do in that situation. So because they all just take off from the island when Jason finds his plane. But, I mean, I guess if you know that there's this address, she finally finds a location of that there must be something there, she doesn't want to go and find out what it is.
Yeah, it's like, you pretty much have this chance right now, because, I mean, if Jason's flying the plane and he's, possibly sure he could, you're all going to die. You wouldn't have wanted to check out that mystery before then?
Yes. Yeah. I did like Jason when he finds that plane. It's like, I don't know how I know it, but I just know that I can fly this plane.
And I love how Ava's like, you either know or you don't know. And that's the thing, too, is Ava and then Nicholas as well, until his demise, or so we think. They were funny in this storyline, too, like Kevin and Laura. It's just the actual couples that you're like, God, these people are annoying.
Yes. It was. It's been nice having Ava in the storyline. Just nice to get her away from all the other characters that she's been associated with and kind of mix her up with some new people. So I've enjoyed these new kind of sides that we've gotten from Ava. I mean, we still get to see the Ava-ness of her, but just in some other stage of her as well, which has been nice.
Yeah, because to me, she's actually been my favorite character this week in a lot of ways. Because she's saved Dante. She's like, hey, it's not worth it. She's being the reasonable one. And then when Laura and Lulu, she gets them alone, she talks about how, she was really glad to know Nicholas, how wonderful he was, and that she had just gotten to know him. And that was actually a very nice moment. And then also when she's thinking about Julian and, hey, and then she finds out that he's been arrested. And it's just like, this is the character that I've always seen, and I'm glad to be seeing these elements of her. And it was nice to see Julian also thinking about Ava, too. This is a good brother and sister relationship, so hopefully they explore that more now that we're getting different sides to her character.
Although I feel like Ava, thinking about, it seems at least right now, thinking about Julian in just a genuinely concerned way. Yeah, Julian's thinking well, I just need Ava because I need somebody to really get me out of this. I don't care. It's like, as long it could be anybody, but as long as it was somebody that could really get me out of this. All right, I guess it's Ava. All right, sure. I wish she was here. But we end with our Cassadine Island crew as they take off from the plane that Jason finds, and for some reason, I guess decides not to check how much fuel this plane has, which I think would be one of the first things you would check. One, is the plane operational? Two, does it have any fuel? Jason decides not to check on the second one. And so they take off, and the fuel light goes off. And so they've got to land. All right, and who knows if they made it? Who survives the crash from this Cassadine plane? So we'll find out next week on that. But as Lacretia was mentioning, Julian, we see, man, Julian. Starting off the week, of course, he wanted to go to trial. They got to get him to his court date. He keeps trying to use that medication to kind of throw him off, to make it feign symptoms, so he doesn't have to go to this court case. But give it up for Nina. She comes in and sours that whole deal, which is good. I'm glad they didn't drag that out, because I was like, oh man, how many more times are we going to have him kind of feign his illness? Thankfully, they did not drag that out very long. But it was nice to see Nina be the cause of that. She was just so, like, oh, here you go. She wanted Julian to sign away those documents, the rights of Crimson, so she could operate autonomously in case anything happens to Julian. So in exchange for her being silent about certain things that she knows.
Yeah, I really like this side of Nina as well. To me, she has really come into her own as like a real powerhouse lady, you know. And she, to me, just was in so many different little areas this week, and just showing what a badass she's become. Because yeah, her pretty much sizing up Julian and saying, no, you're gonna sign this, and then I'll keep silent about where.
Yeah. Oh. And did not seem so apologetic. I mean, I guess how was she to know that this medicine was the only vial that his crony could get? So he's like, oh well, you're in a hospital, you can always get more medicine, right?
Exactly.
But they make it to the court, and we do see Alexis and Diane having a big talk about all this. And yeah, Diane's like, "Are you having second thoughts about this? Do you want to still be with him?" And so I gave him the divorce papers. Here, this is what he's got his copy. I've got mine. And that proceeding was just so ridiculous.
Yes.
Julian, what are they doing with Julian?
Yeah, I'm guessing that we're gearing up for Julian to be rendered insane, because that's the only way to save him at this point. As much as I like Julian, and you see these bits of him that is like, you know, somewhat of a reasonable person when he's talking to Scotty, or like talking about Ava. Where's Ava? We need to get her. There's somewhat of a reasonable, but then he sees Carlos, and I'm pretty sure that Carlos's brother is really going to make that dude's head go crazy. And that's the thing, is I feel like they're cracking at Julian, you know, and they may show, like, because it's been mentioned, you know, his father is really hard on him, probably go with some childhood abuse storyline, so that this is a salvageable character. But at the moment, the fact that he even was like, I want to stay with Alexis, the one you tried to kill, it's like, that's batch crazy.
That was bonkers, that he could sit there in that courtroom and then have Scotty go up there and it's like, hey, he should be remanded to his wife's custody. Like, guys, you realize that he held a knife to her throat. Why would you even think that she would be interested in having him anywhere near her? Like,
well, maybe he thought she was like Hayden. She's into that.
I mean, and Julian just like, I love you, Julian. Alexis, and I know you love me. We're gonna work through this. I'm never gonna give you up. I can't think that he's insane. I can't. I mean, I guess you're right. That's a good viable strategy for him, but I don't know if, because he saw the Carlos thing after he killed Carlos. But he wasn't insane before that, though.
Yeah, that's the thing, is like they really didn't show anything leading up to that. And to me, it's just like, okay, if you could add all the stress of what was going on and sort of layer it out, and then I'm sure we'll get flashbacks of him before, and that's what they always do. And that's just sort of my prediction, just because to me, William DeVry is not said to be leaving, and I mean, there is so much to the Julian character that we need him on campus. So, yeah, I'm guessing they're working on something to redeem him in a way, sort of like they did with Franco. But yeah, Autumn Bryant in the chat points out she hated when Julian said her eyes were saying something else. That was just such a creepy quote.
That was ridiculous. I mean, I guess Franco, yeah, I mean, I think the thing that helps with Franco, too, is that all of a sudden you had another actor taking over the character. So that way you could have him go through all this. And it felt like there was a way to make a little distance between it, even though you know he was playing the same character. So between that as well as the brain tumor, I guess you were able to kind of steer clear of that. But, man, I mean, I feel like they got to do the same thing they did with Ava, is they just got to rest him for a little while. Like when everybody thought that Ava was dead, then all of a sudden she pops up in this hospital in New York, just like kind of gone for a while, and then come back and see what we can do with you at that point.
Yeah, I think that's probably where they're going. You know, maybe he's got a vacation coming up. You know, that's what they normally do. But yeah, either put him in the loony bin or in jail, just something to kind of let us forget that he's a psycho killer.
But I feel like the show writes themselves in a corner, because we all know when Ava came back, they had to do that ridiculous thing where we had her twin sister that never existed, but she was playing her own twin sister. So I feel like that's the price you got to pay if you want to like this actor in this character, and you write them into this terrible corner. You have to do something so dumb to get them at least somewhat salvageable again. So I feel like we have that dumb stuff with Julian coming up sometime within the next 6 months that's going to make us go like, oh, this is the stupidest thing. Why are they doing this to Julian? And then we'll get by it, and then he'll have his moment that's kind of relatable to Ava and Nicholas, where you can all of a sudden see like a different side of her. And like, oh my gosh, this is the Julian that we've been waiting for. So I feel like we've got a little while to get there. We're going to see a lot of dumb stuff before we get to Julian just being like, all right, this is a character we like again. Cool.
Yeah, because it's like Julian literally has nothing right now. I think Ava is on his side, but, well, we don't know if she's even going to survive this plane crash. I'm sure she will, but at the same time, it's like, yeah, this guy's life sucks. He's got Ava and Scotty Baldwin now, so...
Yeah. And maybe if he hadn't pulled the knife on Alexis, held her and was almost about to kill her. Maybe, but it's like I can't imagine like any of his kids, especially Sam.
Yeah.
Like saying, "Hey, yeah, what's up? You're the best, Dad."
Yeah, because you had Olivia come in and say, you're never going to see Leo again. And then of course Lucas came in, and I'm just like, I actually sort of expected Lucas to be his saving grace to an extent. If he'd maybe heard a little bit, it was like, hey, what happened here? More questioning. So yeah, the fact that he immediately turned on him too makes me feel like there's going to be more to this story. Like he'll come back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But right now he's such a kook. Oh boy. But it was nice. I'll take any little amount of Scotty Baldwin that I can. So that was all right. I'll take that little small bit. But even he was like, why did you do that? Why did you go crazy in this courtroom? That was terrible. Why did you think that was going to work? Now, other things that were revealed during the course of this week is that we ended last week with finally Christina and Parker. They got together, and then they shared a little smooching there on the way out, and Sonny comes across them. Which I'm glad that was able to resolve. And it seemed to go pretty much in the way that a lot of us thought it was going to be, where Sonny ended up being really understanding about everything.
Yeah, I will admit, and Ladian's not here, so I'll have to send her a gif of me saying, I actually liked Sonny in that scene with Christina. Because she was surprised too, and he's like, yeah, I had friends growing up, and she's like, really? She expected him to have more like how Julian was with Lucas. But to me, thinking of Sonny's history, I was surprised that he didn't bring up Stone more, in the fact of, while Stone wasn't gay, he did suffer from HIV and eventually died of AIDS. Mm-hmm. And like that's such a big part of Sonny's story. And one of the best ones is how caring and considerate he was of Stone. So I was surprised that they didn't bring that up more. And being that, I'm sure with all this AIDS work Sonny has done, he's worked with, issues like that.
Yeah. No, I thought that was really nice. And it was just, I feel like those scenes are so much more enjoyable to watch and more rewarding than when we get to see Christina play her very coy and she's always trying to deflect the conversation. Like those scenes drive me bonkers. And like any of those Davis girls are just prime candidates for like having a deflecting scene, which makes me just, this is so irritating. Because what does it get you? It just ugh. A scene like this where Sonny just pins Christina down and says, no, you're not going anywhere until we get this done, and we talk about it. And it's a much more enjoyable scene.
Yeah, he was very, understanding and respectful, but he was fatherly with her for once, and very much like, no, let's talk about it now. And he's like, he says, how could Alexis not tell me? And I like that Alexis said that was Christina's story to tell you. That was cool. Yeah. But yeah, and they finally got it out. But yeah, this is a storyline that's sort of been stretched out due to the actress's maternity leave. So I get it, but at the same time, it's like I'm sort of glad that it's wrapping up. Yeah.
Yeah, it's. I guess when you look at it that way, when you see real life complications kind of end up inadvertently prolonging storylines on soap operas. Which always seems to, I don't think, very rarely does it work out for the better. Like somebody's, real life situation kind of making else, the storyline turned out so much better because they were gone for so long. Very rarely that. But I just feel like overall on General Hospital right now, I just feel like they're taking so long with a lot of these storylines. And it just really just bums me out just how long some of the pacing is for these stories.
Yeah, and as I say, sometimes you understand like situations like an actress's maternity leave, but at the same time, it's just like, let's try to wrap them up a little bit quicker. Because to me, some of the good storylines, like Ava and Nicholas, and I get why, again, with the contract dispute with Tyler Crisper, but yeah, that was a good storyline. We could have dragged that out a little bit longer. And with Kevin and Laura, like, we want more of that. Or, like, to me, the scenes with Scotty and Franco and Lucy, I was like, I'm blanking on her name, but yeah, stuff like that I would rather be seeing more of than less of. But then other storylines like Christina's love life, I don't care at this point. Yeah.
Yeah. So they have a nice little chat, which is great. But then Parker runs into Alexis down there at the little coffee spot, And so, and man, Alexis. I mean, I guess certainly Alexis got a lot going on in her life right now, but certainly not. I did like that Parker called. It's like, I thought we left it on a pretty friendly note last time we left. But man, why are you just tearing into me right now? But I did like that they didn't drag it out. I appreciate Parker being straightforward, saying, "Yeah, I was with Christina last night because she stayed with me, slept together. Hi, Mom. How are you?" I don't know. I feel like that relationship kind of frustrates me as well, between Parker and Christina, because like, oh, we can do this. No, I can't do this. I'm gonna write you a little, dear Parker note, and then take off again.
Yeah, and that was my thing, is like, Alexis is the one that, encouraged her. But to me, yeah, if you really had feelings for Christina, who is an adult, you wouldn't have listened to her mommy and like broke up with her. And it's just sort of like, Christina's character has been abused so much. It's like, let's just continue to take her through, the ringer. To me, let's get Christina a girl her own age, have a nice relationship. Because, yeah, this guy, the cute guy that's running the coffee shop for Daddy, it's like, yeah, that's not going anywhere. Let's get something else if we're going to have Christina in a bisexual storyline.
Yeah, because I did like that was the topic of conversation with Sonny. It's like, are you gay? I'm not sure. I mean, I'm glad that was all discussed. It wasn't like as simple as black and white. She's still unsure of her sexuality, which is totally fine. It's good. It's fine to explore that kind of stuff. So I'm glad that they kind of dwelled on that. But I did like after Alexis and Sonny talked to her down at the coffee place, then she goes and she breaks it to Aaron. But hey, guess what? I should let you know that I slept with somebody else last night. Wah, wah.
Yeah, and this is why I was like, this guy is way too nice. He's like, well, I guess we weren't exclusive. And it's like, oh, boy. You're just really trying to ride that Corinthos coffee, train,
he doesn't want to let that dry up there. I mean, I feel like, he's been so cool. And we all know Christina was on the wrong. Kind of, whatever they're exclusive or not, but kind of slept around on him after they'd been at least somewhat kind of involved. So I feel like Sonny was like, hey, it's all right. My daughter, she was a little irresponsible there with your heart. So here's some more coffee. Here, take all this coffee. You can do it. So I feel like Aaron's going to come out all right with this.
Yeah, he's at least going to get some coffee out of the settlement. Maybe keep his job.
Yeah, but I'm curious though, like what. Because, Aaron's been an interesting character, but, we've only, of course, seen him really just hanging out either with Sonny or Christina. So I don't know now that, the Christina and Aaron thing's kind of not going to happen anymore. Is Aaron just going to kind of fade into the background now, or are they going to try to do something else with him? Would you want to see them do anything else with him?
No. I'm just like, I really like him, but it's just like, unless you make him evil or more interesting at this point, he just seems like a filler.
All right.
Yeah, I'm like, unless you make him like an undercover cop, which that would be cool. I was like, but I just feel like they've done that so many times. I don't see that that's where they're going. But I guess if people like him, but the chat don't seem to. Michael B seems to be the only person who likes Aaron because Mel says no.
Come on, guys, look at that.
And Toph London, yeah, Aaron seems to be getting the short end of the stick there.
But just always remember his awkward walk through the park where he just came out of just like the bushes for some reason and then having to come across Christina. For that'd always be my defining moment with Aaron. Thank you, Steve. Yes. And I guess we don't have like a real, not Michael anymore. So, there's not been like the super goody two-shoes guy. Like the new teen guy, kind of thing, like back in Steve Burton playing Jason before he turned into Jason Morgan. Always a real good goody two-shoes guy. Yeah,
compared to his brother. That's the thing is you have the good brother and the bad brother, like how Michael and Morgan are. But yeah, it's like, okay, I'd rather see Michael with Edge. So if we want a good guy, let's keep Aaron around, I guess. But it seems like nobody seems to care.
Nobody cares.
Sorry, Aaron. You're cute, though.
Come on, guys. Look at that.
Make him an undercover cop and get Valerie out of the police force. We'll do that. Yeah.
Now, Lacretia also brought up Franco hanging out with Scotty and Lucy, which gave Lucy just a scene for the day. It was always nice to see her around. But that kind of ties
You sounded sarcastic in that.
No, it was. It was great, but it was just like, come on, you can do more. You can do more with her. Please let this go somewhere.
Yeah.
Don't just like. Basically, just a way to get Naomi kind of worked up, having a panic attack, going to the hospital. So we pick it up this week there with Liz and Naomi having a quick little bonding moment, and Hayden's like, "Oh man, this Liz is the worst. This is the worst. I got to go. Liz is the worst." why can't you get along with my daughter?
Yeah.
It's really important that you get along. And I did like her saying to Hayden, like, it's really important that you get along with her. Like, why? Why is that so important to get along with as a nurse? Why do you even care?
Yeah, I really actually like where this story is headed. Because, yeah, especially bringing Lucy and Scotty in with, like, hating her and, like, that's where all their money went. And that was like, okay, that way we tie in these characters, but let's see more of them because we like them. And, yeah, that Franco was involved and they pretty much make her pass out.
But that was like Carly comes down on them. Like, they didn't, like, deliberately make her pass out. They were just talking. And
I know. And she just freaks out. They're like, oh, what's the matter? And, of course, being that they probably wouldn't have been called out by Carly if Franco wasn't there because she just loves to throw him under the bus.
Yeah.
And at this point, Franco's not that bad.
No, like, as long as they keep him more in this kind of shade, but I feel like, I like the idea of characters being kind of nervous of him, but, you know, it's like when he just turns into, like, all creepy and weird when things go bad all of a sudden, it's like, oh, I'm going to burn the world down around me. Like, that's my least favorite version of Franco.
He's just a bit dramatic, but
yes.
yeah, I do like Naomi Dreyfus, I will say. And the funny thing is, when I posted the news about Hayden's mom coming, half the people that commented were like, why we haven't seen Hayden's mom? We never see Liz's mom. And it's just like, it appears that they are the same person.
Yes.
So you got your wish, guys.
Yeah, her terrible panic attack acting, though, just like, ugh, like, because even in the hospital room, like, all of a sudden, like, hearing Heather Weber being talked about, oh, man, oh, boy. And, you know, Franco just, I did like Leslie saying, why are you walking in here? You can't just, I'm with a patient. She seems to be doing fine. Can I just talk to her for a moment? You know, we want to go out on a date.
And see, that's the thing, is at least they've kept Franco's quirkiness, because that is what's, you know, at least entertaining. He has no boundaries. He's weird. He's creepy, but you kind of like him because it's Roger Howarth now. Yeah.
But we find out, of course, Naomi hears all this stuff about Franco having this money that his mother's Heather Weber. And, you know, he's like, he's going to get the money back to her because Liz doesn't want it. And so then we go back to Franco hanging out with Heather Weber back at the prison. They're bringing flowers with a thoughtful son.
I know.
And we find out that Heather, for the first time, says, like, Liz would be somebody that she'd be okay with if Franco dated.
Yeah, I thought that was so interesting because to me, if I'm Heather Weber and I know her history, being that even though she is Stephen Lars's sister, it's still like she never seemed to really like Elizabeth or have much to do with her. So that seemed very odd and very sinister in a way, that maybe there's more to Liz. And as we saw later with Naomi Dreyfus, that, you know, there's going to be more to this. And I like how Naomi pointed out, are people going to turn heads that you're dating a relative, Liz, thinking that her and Franco are related? That was pretty funny. It's like, that's on Guiding Light, I believe.
Yeah, but also I don't know why, like, Liz's radar didn't go up more, because, like, how would this lady even know, like, your family tree? So that's already kind of clues. Like, how do you know this?
Yeah, because Weber's a pretty common name. So I'm like, your first assumption is that she's dating her cousin or whatever?
Yeah. I'm like,
This is Port Charles, New York, not where I'm from, East Texas.
But clearly, Naomi goes and visits Heather in the hospital and threatens Heather. It's like, hey, you better not say anything. I'm going to make your life miserable in here, which I feel like is the wrong way to get Heather to do anything, because Heather does not react well to being threatened.
Here's the thing. Heather Weber's pretty easy. Just get her a BLT, and she's good. BLT from Kelly's. She'll tell you anything.
Yeah, and I'm wondering, is it just the fact that she is Liz's mom, or is there something more to the story?
Yeah, I'm thinking that there's maybe possibly some illegal adoption or something that Heather Weber knows is why Naomi is, like, paying her off. Because to me, if she's just Liz's mom and just never said anything, that's not that bad. But you know how soaps are. They love to blow up little things. Like, oh, yeah, I gave you up for adoption. That's really not that interesting.
Yeah. I mean, I'm hoping it's something much more interesting, or the fact that we already know what it is, and they're still just drawing it out, and then we find out what the reveal is. Like, GH has done way too many times lately. The reveal is just exactly what you thought, or even less. And you're like, we've known about this for weeks, and you took forever to draw it out, and then this is the reveal. Oof. Yeah, okay. So we'll see. But I still think it'll be interesting to find out when Liz and Hayden do find out. I think it'll be interesting to see how them having to deal with the fact that they are sisters.
Yeah, because of how, tumultuous their relationship has been since day one. It's more interesting to have them be sisters because they do resemble one another. They have so many people in common, like Nicholas. It's like, this is going to be way better than having Sarah come back. Because, yeah, to me, Sarah Weber is one of those just throwaway characters. And, yeah, so to have Hayden be Liz's sister is way more interesting.
Yeah, very true. Man, especially when Nicholas comes back.
Oh, yeah.
You guys can trade notes. We've both been with that guy. But then we have people, Liz and Franco going out on a date. That's a big thing, going on a date this week. And people are trying to talk like, Liz, is sure this is the right thing to be doing? You really want to go on a date with Franco? But we find Franco, though. Oh, Amy. Well, first, because Franco gets involved, but it's up to Amy. Let's bring in Amy.
Oh, God, the worst character.
Oh.
Like, she makes Nurse Nadine, I believe, Claire Coffey's character, who Claire Coffey is wonderful and grim, but literally, other than Nurse Amy, one of the worst characters ever to exist in Port Charles.
Oh, so bad. But basically just goes up to Valerie and says, oh my gosh, I saw Franco going into this patient's room. He may be the killer. He could be the killer. Who knows? And so Valerie goes and we get a nice scene throwing up Franco against the side of the room there and then frisking him and then finds his vial. And Franco says, he was sitting there in the room, so I took it with me. I had to clean it up. Which I'm thinking, so clearly that was from the killer. But I'm thinking, well, how dumb is this killer that they just leave this vial of whatever they injected into this patient just lying around? Sorry.
Yeah, and to me, it just seemed like someone was trying to frame Franco in a way, because Franco is weird and he doesn't think about those things. They probably threw it down thinking he would pick it up. And I mean, they may not have that much forethought since all the chat seems to think that Amy is the killer, despite the fact that she was at the nurse ball. I would like her to be the killer just so we can get rid of her. And yeah, to me, she's just so annoying and so after these people that, we're led to believe that she's been here a while. But for us as viewers, that didn't happen to me, so I'm sorry. I can't believe that she knows all these people and all these things and knows how awful Franco is. It's like, no, you just read the internet. You're like every other millennial, and you don't know anything. Just shut up.
No, because I thought, after that patient that was in the room that Franco was in, after she dies at the end of the episode, I thought my spotlight, much like the fans did, went, all right, and people in the chat, went to Amy. She's got to be the person.
Yeah, because to me, as they say, no one else went in there other than Franco had been in there to leave the, art piece. And that's a perfectly logical reason for him to be in there. But yeah, Amy went in after, and it's just to me, this is where Valerie should have been okay, she was fine, now she's not. Everyone throws shade at Franco, and it's but he's not the only one who could be a suspect here.
No, but you do bring up a good point with her timeline with the nurse's ball. Plus the fact that, could she really get the drop on Lucas? And if they came out that was the case, Lucas, you got to really work on your self-defense or your reflexes. That Amy was able to get the jump on you.
And that to me is maybe there was another person involved. Because to me, the fact that Dr. Mays was killed off so quickly and after making that comment with Elizabeth, it's just maybe they were working together since he was not seen at the nurse's ball and he could have easily gotten the drop on Lucas. But yeah, I mean, I feel like Amy is bigger than Lucas, but Lucas seems like a guy who could take care of himself.
Yeah, it could be interesting if they were working together and he started having a crisis of conscience, and so Amy said, no, I gotta get rid of you before you spill the beans on everybody.
Yeah, and to me, that would make a lot of sense and explain these little gaps in the timeline, but,
Yeah, we'll see what happens there. But then it's a big date. It's a big date between Liz and Franco. And so Franco picks up and says, I want to take you to this special place. Where you go? And takes him over where he does his artwork, his studio. But just, always this creepy way. Going into the studio on a date, closes the door, then locks the door of the studio. And then turns around and just has that that weird, now I wear your skin. This is the part where I wear your skin. And you see Liz trying her best to be yeah, this is great. I'm not freaked out at all about being locked up in the studio. If you go out on a date, and did that seem weird to you that he locked the door to the studio?
Yeah, but as I say, Franco just always has this creep factor, and that's the thing is Liz knows this. He's always creepy and weird and has no boundaries, and yes, he killed people, but not recently. You're and it's
but not recently.
I mean, it's he had the tumor, it's out, so I'm kind of she should be a little bit more trusting at this point. I mean, she lets him with her kid, all the time. It's like he's with your kid, but you're freaking out. Like, that just seemed a little odd to me, and just a little forced in a way of like they're trying to, make Franco seem guilty when he's actually not. He's just weird.
Yeah. No, I'd agree with that. They're trying to set up like a false sense of like, oh my gosh, maybe Franco is the killer. That's like, please stop trying to do that because we know that's not the case.
Yeah, we don't get it.
Yeah. There's no motive for him to do that. And plus, I mean, I think, it just doesn't seem like the timeline doesn't add up that he would have been the killer for that.
Yeah, and to me, I really hate that they still have yet to really mention too much of Liz's art past. Liz was an artist, and, it would have been cool if it was her old studio. I kind of would have liked that, and then going in there and that, talk about, how she used to paint, and then maybe he could get her more into painting. That's something that I wanted from this story that I haven't seen yet.
That would be really nice. And maybe next week when they're locked, because clearly they're locked in a studio. So, I mean, what else are you going to do in there besides just paint, I guess? So, one of the other doctors, though, that we focus on this week, too, is our good old Dr. Finn. So we get a nice little scene between him and Hayden. I felt like, Hayden just was really just kind of opening herself up to, just like that she has a genuine sense of concern for Finn. Not just on what her dad did, but just because she likes him. Yeah,
and I really like that they've established them as friends. It really helps both characters kind of integrate in the canvas without being too forced. Because, it's like having that, her dad swindled him, and, she felt guilty about this and wanting to rectify this situation by helping him get the drugs and help him with the cure. This is all logical, and that's why I like logic. And it really brings a nice light to both characters that I'd like to see more, and then pulling Tracy into it as well,
But I feel like the only thing that frustrates me about this is just, and we talked about this a little bit before when it first went on, is that just Finn's just kind of flip-floppiness in terms of how much he's going to rely on Hayden. Like, first it's like, oh, I need you to, sneak this into the prison. I need you to inject me, to all of a sudden be like, oh, no, I can't have you involved in this. Just leave me alone. Just stay away. I just have to go do my thing. Like, I wish they, I felt like, just drop that. Drop that unnecessary, just kind of running around in circles, putting up your little wall. Just, drop the wall, take Hayden's help, and let's just see what kind of fun would happen to them on whatever kind of, flight this is going to be, what kind of adventure they could have together. I'd rather see that than just Finn being gone for a few days on trying to get these drugs. Yeah,
that's the thing, is I kind of wish that she'd gone with him. I think that would have been more interesting. But I do like that Finn at least took the initiative to be like, you know what? No, I know who I can talk to get this. And did go to Sonny. And it's like, I know you do illegal things. Pretty much conversation. And he was like, I'm not killing Julian. I love that he had a line. It's like, okay, cool.
Yeah, it's because I always thought for a moment the way they could have done something with Silas Clay is just make him like a mob doctor or something like that. So I mean now we're getting at least the interaction with him and Sonny. Although I mean him being such a thing about with infectious diseases and things like that doesn't really line up to being a mob doctor, so to speak. But I don't know. I liked him taking the initiative, but then I just wish he would have gone over to Hayden and said all right, if you want to come go ahead with me.
Yeah, but he has to be all manly. No, I'm not getting the ladies involved.
Whatever.
That's so John McBain of you, Finn. I wonder why.
But your thoughts? You think this flight to get these drugs are going to go smoothly?
I don't see it. Unless it's just one of those, hey, yep, we solved it sort of things that they're wrapping this up. That's the only way I could see it going smoothly. But I feel like there's going to be way more story to this, that maybe it will tie into Cassadine Island or something that way, because it's just how these things work. They all wind up coming together. Yeah,
I mean, if you're going to have another character flying somewhere and you've already had other people crash in a plane, I feel like maybe that's the plane that rescues them.
Planes crash, yeah.
And lastly, our last doctor that's in the hospital there. We've got Griffin and talking with Maxie about their little relationship there, and a little update between her and Nathan, and Maxie speaking in code. That irritated me. That scene irritated the heck out of me for that.
Yeah, but I will say, again, we just want to compliment Molly Burnett and the fact that she obviously studied the character of Maxie, and it really shines through. Because, other than the hair, and it's clearly different actors, this is so exactly what Maxie would be saying, doing, even all the little nuances. So, to me, it fit the character, but at the same time, it was just it is frustrating to see Maxie go down this thing again.
Yeah, I mean, and just the thing that irritated me about that conversation is the fact that you're just doing this to be able to tease the audience with them, maybe Griffin finding out about this, but making the conversation so awkward that Griffin doesn't learn that information so you can reveal it at a later date. Which I'm like, why? Let's just move on with the storyline. That conversation was so awkward this thing happened at work, and I let it get, like this thing. I don't want to get into it. Like, whatever.
Yeah, and to me, it's just like I really like, Dr. Griffin, not just because I think he's hot and he's a priest, but then the fact of this is a character that we don't see a lot in soap. Someone who actually is a good person, and he is constantly punishing himself for like literally the one thing he's only done wrong that we've seen. Yeah. And it is just like, I really like that Maxie's like, you need to forgive yourself. And I feel like that's where we'll go in them and their friendship, and then possibly, him leaving the priesthood for her eventually, because it's obvious with Nathan and Claudette, this is a quadrangle hanging up here.
Yeah, the thing that's been interesting about the story is just the fact how open that Maxie and Nathan have been with each other finally. And so they're sort of, as much as Nathan feels comfortable being a cop, but there are schemes that are going on, and Maxie's not trying to hide anything from Nathan. So I do like the fact that she's being upfront with that. But this scheme, that whole scene, that was the scene that drove me bonkers this week, was with the IT guy over at Crimson, all of a sudden, finding out all this, well, I installed malware on my computer when I first got here. I'm like, well, that scene was terrible. That scene was, it just drove me bonkers.
Yeah, I did like Claudette being that smart, because I really like to see intelligent evil women on the show. See how I like Ava and Nina. But yeah, it was really great that she did that, and it didn't wind up like it was, she's just fired immediately, because Claudette's evil plan is obviously working. And yeah, it's really giving Nathan a better story, because to me it's like, I hate that they're making Maxie look so bad, but at the same time, not really, because she's been up front with Nathan, and she sort of does have every right to hate this woman.
So interactions there. So basically, Claudette, she basically turns the tables on Maxie, lets her know, hey, guess what? I pinged your computer back. You were the one that put the malware on there and kind of ruined the graphics. But Nina, surprisingly, doesn't fire Maxie, says she is going to be strongly reprimanded. And I do like that she was tough, but with a heart. She understood why Maxie did it, but couldn't understand why Maxie would also involve the magazine in doing that. Yeah,
I like that Nina brought that up. Why would you hurt Crimson? And but she, is someone who didn't even want to hire Claudette in the first place, and Maxie's the one who talked her into it. And yet, as we see, Claudette's actually good at her job, so it's really giving a lot of good story with these three women. But yeah, the thing is, Nina has just shown how much she's grown and the way that she talked to Maxie. And it was the other way around when Crimson first started.
Yes.
But, and that's what I like, is this interesting turn, the way they are. Is like, hey, I'm really concerned for you and I want to help you out, but stop.
Yeah, and I felt like Maxie's turn about wanting to make sure Claudette still worked there was just the fact that to kind of show her that she was not going to be affected by jealousy in the past. Was that basically that?
Yeah.
Because all of a sudden she did that about face oh no, I'm going to go back and get her. That's a better way to do it instead of being all worried about what might not happen. Okay, but we find out we find out that Nathan and Claudette needs a ride to the airport, so Nathan's going to give it to her. And of course, they get delayed and pulled off on the road. Nathan conveniently forgets his cell phone back at the apartment. Claudette pretends that she can't get any signal, or she ran out of battery for her phone.
Yeah, with the road less traveled app, which is Waze. Just say Waze.
But then, a little song comes on. They have a little tender moment. I mean, I do, admittedly, I do see a lot of chemistry between the two of them.
Oh yeah.
But and Claudette does claim that she's not. I mean, she has a picture. She is always carrying that picture with her, always carrying it with her. But she breaks it in the trash there. And Nathan's saying, "Hey, I'm not here for you. I was realizing I was being foolish. I was, looking, but I just wanted closure." So do you buy that, or do you think she's really there after Nathan?
Oh, no, I think she really is there after Nathan. And you can see, because even how the storyline started, it was him saying he loves Claudette when he's, in a coma, waking up, after being shot, or actually bashed over the head with a rock. But yeah, so it's he clearly does have deep feelings for this woman, and she hurt him so bad. And to me, the chemistry between Ryan Pivey and Ree Williamson is actually off the charts. And as someone who really does like Nathan and Maxie together, I actually feel like this storyline is going to be better for Nathan, because, he's been stuck in that for so long. Let's give him this. Because, I do feel like Claudette clearly is after Nathan, but I think that it works. And I feel like when all's said and done, it will be Nathan and Claudette and Maxie and Griffin.
Griffin, man, I find it's going to be so hard. They made him have such a reluctance and really hammering in on that priest stuff that I feel like it's going to be so long before he can make that kind of move.
Yeah, I feel like it'll be dragged out because I think it will wind up with Maxie being very hurt in the end and then him being the shoulder to cry. I mean, I'm just going in predictions here, but whatever. Yeah, that's how I would write it. Because that way he's still a hot priest doctor and he's not a bad guy. Yeah.
Now speaking of medical needs there, we do have Carly and Nina, as we spoke to her about branching out and helping other people. Nina and Carly were trying to work together to figure out who Jocelyn's donor was for this. And Nina just has a nice little moment there. We're just like, hey, I was asleep. Whether I'm trying to make a friend or just trying to help somebody be on the right side of something. I thought that was a nice little scene between Nina and Carly. Yeah,
to me, this just goes back to Nina being one of the best characters on campus right now and just how human she is. And to me, when Michelle was here talking about Elizabeth being the ingenue, to me, it's Nina right now.
Yeah.
Nina is the one who's actually trying to help everyone, trying to, solve things. And I think that's what's great about her not being in a relationship now. She can focus on these little things, and we get to know more of her character, like her wanting to help Carly because, she didn't get to have that chance with this daughter. And it was so real.
Yeah, and I would like to see that friendship kind of develop because I think that's like just the thing that you don't often get to see Carly in those types of relationships. More like she's always jealous of somebody or she's mad or she's overprotective when a woman comes into the orbit of her or any of her family members or like Jason as well. So,
yeah, because as you say, like Carly doesn't have a lot of female friends. Olivia's really the only one, but we don't really get to see Olivia a lot. And yeah, I mean, even their relationships kind of hit a rock. And she's okay with Sam. Man, let's never mention Courtney. But yeah, like with Nina, it's like, okay, this makes sense.
Yes. Yeah, just, two successful businesswomen just kind of relating, hanging out. But so Carly, Jocelyn finds out that Carly's still pursuing this. She's begged her to stop this because she feels like she gets made fun of at school. She just doesn't want to know about all this stuff, so she begs her mom to just stop doing this. Actually threatens her. Says, I'll go back and I'll live with Dad, and you'll never see me again. Like, oh, okay. Sure.
That's what teenagers do. Yeah. But yeah, I guess this is our thing to set up Jax coming back, because I keep promoting it. It's happening.
Yes, Jax is coming.
And Annie Goen says he wants to sell you high that your new favorite fan.
Oh, yes. All right. So Jax will be coming back next week, which is great. I'm curious to see what he's going to bring to the storyline.
Yeah, because that's the thing, is I'm just wondering how this is all going to tie in. Because you know how everything winds up being, somewhat together, whether this is going to tie into Finn's storyline or the Cassadine Island, or if these are all related. I'm just curious because, we're not really sure where they're going at this point. We just know that somehow Cassadine's involved, but I'd rather see it be more like Jerry Jax, in my opinion.
Yeah. Well, you can never have the Cassadines, and Jerry Jax is never too far away from anything that's going on there. So I think that. And our last little scene here, we have Curtis and Jordan. Have them have a little scene there. And Curtis, I like that he just kind of laid it out. It's like, I came to you, asking for forgiveness, and you just shut me down. After you come in here and just tell me how much you really appreciate everything I did in my life, and you're not even willing to at least forgive me, maybe even offer me a job if I needed it.
Yeah, and I really like that Curtis called Jordan out, because I like Jordan, but at the same time, she's someone that's really stepped in it a lot lately, and sort of needs to be called out on her crap. And to me, Curtis is the only person that seems to be able to effectively do that. Because, she judged him for so long, and he's like, you know what, I've been, wanting to redeem myself from having the drug problem and all this, and he's got, working with Valerie and now with Nina and all this. He's really making an effort to be a better person. So I did like that she wanted him to be the father figure for TJ, but at the same time, it was just like, but you said he was so horrible, you didn't want him to be a cop.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing that frustrated me about this, and just because of practicalities of casting and actors' availability and stuff, is that I wanted to see the scene of Sean and TJ having that connection, and they finally know at that moment they can admit to each other, father and son.
Yeah, that would have been so great to see that. And I know that Sean Blakemore is doing a wonderful job on Devious Maids, by the way, playing a lovely reverend. But at the same time, we should have got him at least somewhat, because that's something that we've known for so long but never got closure on.
Yes, and it would have just been nice. I didn't want to. That's something I didn't want to hear secondhand. I wanted to see it with my own eyes. I wanted to peep it myself.
Yeah, Cheryl Hawk brings up a good point. I don't see how she can trust him with her son, but not back on the force. It's like, that just seems very odd. And it's like, you trust Valerie as a cop, but not Curtis. It's like, Valerie is a character that came on so strong, but has now turned into Lulu 2.0.
Oof, no, but she's just busting people. Yeah. She's frisking people in the hospital halls. That's when she came on the show, who knew such a bright, promising future? Frisking people in the hospital halls laid ahead for her. So that, I think, pretty much wraps up the week that was in Port Charles. So we will get to our segments here. I'll start it off here with the get him to the ER stat. It's just Julian. It's just Julian again, and I feel like I'm just gonna keep harping on this Julian thing until like 6 months from now, when I finally have the other ones. Like, man, Julian, man, so great. I love you, Julian. You're the best. But right now, he's bonkers. He's absolutely that whole courtroom scene was so bonkers that he thought that he could actually convince somebody to let him be released into Alexis's custody. I don't understand what they're doing with this character.
Yeah, me neither. I'm just like, what is going on? They better resolve this, because we all know how I feel about William DeVry and Julian Jerome, so fix it.
Yes, fix it when you want more kettlebell lifting and shirtless scenes. Yeah, right?
Yeah, exactly. Those are the important parts.
But now we've got our winners and losers. Lacretia.
Yeah, so I guess we'll just start out with Julian. Julian's got to be my loser of the week, because it's like, how can he even win at this point? Julian is so far down that the only way to redeem this character is say he had a tumor, like with Franco, or just that he's bat crap crazy, just something to get him out of this, because he has so much promise as a character. We have 3 kids on screen that are Julians. He's not up to Sonny numbers yet, but and also Sonny needs a rival, and to me it's just like they need to be more equal, not Julian bad, Sonny good, because guess what? Neither one of them are good. They're very equal, except for one's cuter. But yeah, and that brings me to my winner, which is Ava Jerome. I mean, and Nina, I will say tie, because yeah, again, as I've said it both, with the way that these characters have really come into their own, like Ava was sort of the one, like, you know, being the reasonable person on Cassadine Island, and the way that she talked to Laura and Lulu to like ease their comfort with Nicholas, it's like, wow, Ava has a heart. This is so nice to see. And, you know, as she talked to Nicholas and all these other people about, you know, missing her kid, how could you do this? Just being the reasonable one is good to see, and that's why I feel like when she gets back, maybe she can help Julian come to terms. But yeah, and it's with Nina. So again, being the reasonable person here.
Yes. So look at that, brings us to our end of our segments, but we'll do a quick little bit of news and gossip. Yes! Look at that. Thank you, Steve. We have a little photo that we're going to pull up here of our very own Lacretia Lyon last week at Comic-Con, hanging out with, nobody, just Michael Easton.
I know, guys, I've actually seen Michael at Comic-Con before, because what he does when he's not playing 5 different characters on General Hospital, he writes graphic novels for DC, Vertigo, and Blackwatch Comics. So that's pretty cool. And the one that he gave me to read, and for Frank and I's super secret top Comics Corner show that starts Wednesday at 6 p.m. right here on Book Circle Online, a subsidiary of AfterBuzz TV, is Credence. And which is pretty cool. I am so looking forward to read it and really kind of getting into the mind of Michael Easton, the actor, since he's a big graphic novel person. I know we've talked about this in the chat already, but he loves Preacher and Garth Ennis. So yeah, we'll definitely pleased to talk to him about Credence and how Garth Ennis really influences.
Yes. And the other bit of news there is Finola Hughes. She was supposed to be coming back relatively soon after her little summer break, but she's actually delayed it. Not sure exactly why. There's a lot of rumors, maybe contract negotiations, or for whatever reason. She has delayed her coming back, so that's going to extend some of the other storylines. Perhaps with Andre and Anna and Jordan, maybe a potential love triangle. So that may be kind of delayed into getting going anywhere.
Yeah, and I think it's because Anthony Montgomery has a severe injury, his torn meniscus, so he's been out of work as well. So I'm guessing that may be part of it. But yeah.
Yeah. So, but don't worry though, as Frank Valentini said that she signed a 3-year contract, so he doesn't say. I mean, she's going to be back. It's just going to take a little while longer. And Tyler Christopher will be back. He's going to be back. They said September. Not sure if that means he's going to start taping in September or he's going to start airing in September.
Yeah, he didn't clarify it, but it was at an event this weekend. Yeah. Yeah.
So we were going to get Tyler Christopher back, which means we hopefully will get some great new scenes between Tyler Christopher and Tyler Christopher's Nicholas and Ava Jerome, which would be interesting to see how that looks. Other than that one day in the plane, that's all we had of them. So we're looking forward to seeing more of that. So that's going to do it for this episode of for the GH Report here on AfterBuzz TV. But as I said, you can like us on Facebook. We're just 719 away from getting that sweet 2,000 mark. Oh, Ladine, what did you do to us? But you can also subscribe to us on the YouTube channel, like us on Facebook, give us those 5 stars on iTunes, and follow us on Twitter where you can continue the conversation even after the show's over. Lacretia, if they want to follow you, where can they find you?
You guys can always find me at LACRETIALYON anywhere on the internet since there is only one. And yes, don't forget to stay tuned for the Restless Wrap-Up and see me and Frank this Wednesday as we premiere Comics Corner on Book Circle Online.
Oh, look at that. Lucretia, my hype person right now. She's my hype person. So, yes, you can follow me on Twitter at HappyGoJackie. Check me out, I think, Tuesday. We're going to do a little, we're talking about comics here quickly, and Garth Ennis and Preacher. We'll do our little wrap-up at the season finale of Preacher on Tuesday with the actor who plays Donnie going to be sitting in studio with us as well. So we will see you next Sunday here. I think we're going to have all 4 of us back next Sunday.
I believe so, yeah.
The team will be reunited once again. You know, romance tensions will fly. We'll see whatever happens there. But we'll catch you out here next week on AfterBuzz TV on the GH Report. See you then.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.